Welcome! Today we're going to be demonstrating the new user interface in Mobile Multi-Body Dynamics 2.0 for iOS. Here's our 3D view with a blank model and our report, but first of all let's hit our Create button and see all of our new fields for which we can enter settings for the model. We're going to create a pendulum, so let's give it the name pendulum and a description. Very simple description here. Of course, with a pendulum, we want to give it gravity, so we'll do uniform gravity, constant of 9.8 meters per second squared, and we'll apply in the -y direction with our wheel picker field. Let this simulation run for 10 seconds, and we're going to have a tighter tolerance just to make it a little bit smoother. Hit the confirm button. It's still a blank model here, but now we're going to go into our new model, or our new component models, and add a revolute joint. We'll set it at a value of 1 for 1 radian, about 60 degrees. When we hit the confirm button in the top, we can see our newly created frame there, rotated about the Z-axis, showing us a second frame. We're going to have a rigid body box to complete our pendulum, attach it to the A frame, which is what we created with the joint, give it density and dimensions. Attach it to the aft end of the box and hit confirm. Now here's our newly created pendulum. It already simulates. We can see it swinging back and forth very nicely, very smooth. Let's look at our report. Here we can see the dimension values, the created frames, the inertia values for the body, our equations of motion, and our plots of the simulated response. So one pendulum is cool enough. Let's do a quick double pendulum, because why not? So we'll go into our menu again, using the button in the upper left. Add another joint, this time a rigid translation, just simply going to the end of the first box that we created. Hit confirm. You can see a dot at the end for that newly created point. And let's create another revolute joint at that same dot. So we connected the ref point key B, which is what we just created, and the reference frame A. Leave everything else as defaults, and now we see another frame added to the end. Beautiful. Much like before, we'll do another rigid body box. Mostly the same settings as before, but connecting it to the latest frames that we created, and point. Again, add our dimensions, and again, as before, we'll use our picker here to connect it at the aft end. Hit confirm, and now we see our second attached link. It's going to take a little bit longer because it's more complex equations to solve, but once it does, we can animate our double pendulum response. Flipping over itself a few times, chaotic motion, all that good stuff. Wonderful. So going into our report, here's a little bug that I have to fix, but I had to go away from the original tab and back to get the new simulation, new equations, a second body with its own inertial parameters, a newly created point at B, there's its position, velocity, newly created frame, the sum of the two angles, and all of our constants. One last thing, we can see that we can edit any component that we create after it's created. So we're going to go edit our second box, and just because we're all Michigan State Spartans here, we're going to make the second box green and white. Wonderful. So we have our nice Spartan double pendulum here. We'll simulate it again, and that will complete our video. So this is the version 2.0 beta test release that I have just put live. I'll put a link to the beta test in the comments for those of you who are iOS users. And I hope that you will give me excellent feedback and enjoy the app.